Here with Bernie. We're talking about the JFH narrative themed event. Okay, can you go again? You're saying
So I'm looking at like the different buckets of people that we could interest in this and how evangelical we want to be about our core message versus just casting the widest net possible and getting people that we don't know if they would be interested or not, but they like a piece of it and that's enough to get them in, gateway drug kind of a thing. So you have people that are into cosplay, people that are into filmmaking, people that are into combat, and then if there's people that like all three of those things, that's our person, right? But if you have a person that like at core likes combat but thinks cosplay is kind of cool, and most people that like combat like are kind of into filmmaking or would like to be doing combat on film. So there's
yeah,
a cross section of these things, right?
absolutely.
And then if it's a cosplay person that's into film and then they didn't really think too much about combat, but that's a cool thing if if you do superheroes and action characters and stuff, obviously. And so how do we bring a whole bunch of those people that like at least one of those things, but can find interest in all three of those things in this event? And what I'm thinking is, I mean, again, I have to see the space physically because these pictures all could be, uh, different buildings or different floors, and maybe we don't open it all up because it's too much space actually if it's all of that, and we want something that seems like it's happening and populated. So if everyone's spread out over this like giant space, that's not as good. So we have to kind of think about uh, how modular can they be with their location and as we build interest or ticket sales or RSVPs or whatever, um, what do we open up more space and more space? Do we do something along the lines of like different presentation areas? Do you have your kind of stage combat or camera combat area? What do you call that, by the way, at this point? I know stage combat from stage combat, but
Oh,
what do you
sure,
call
sure. It's either action choreography or action design. The more, you know,
action choreography? I've heard that term. Okay, so you have like an area that's teaching action choreography, and then you have an area that's filming action choreography,
mm,
and then you have something that's more geared into, and maybe there's like a self defense element to it as well. And then there's an area that's about uh, the, the costume element and superheroes, right? And then maybe there's like photo shoot areas with high end photographers and stuff that are there,
mm.
so that it's like a synergy of all of those things, and then you can get people, uh, you know, that interested from one into the other and cross pollinate it. Um, so I think that that's kind of how I see that working. The space is really cool, but then what is what's the hook to get them all there, and how do they find out about what we're doing and how cool it is and could be for them specifically? So those are the things I'm thinking about. Um, and there's definitely lots of space, but there's also a heavy lift in getting that. And then are we finding ways that we get people partnered in? Like if there's a what's in it for them to be a part of this thing in a networking perspective, or because they're gaining content out of it and then they do it for free versus having to pay people. Can we get some keynote speakerish or appearancey kind of people that are into the project that would be a lure to get people to show up? For example, if there was some well-known action choreographer or an action stunt person of note, or cosplayers of note that do some of this, that do action posing and video content and things like that, and then filmmakers. And when I say of note, it doesn't need to be like star people, but people that have a nice resume, and we can go, look, you can get this person talking, this person talking, this person talking, and help you grow what you're doing. So those are things that I'm thinking about. And then amidst all of that, at the center of it is ReelwUrld is the amalgamation of all of these things that you guys are interested in one focused narrative, concept. Um, I don't know. That's one way I see it going. How does that kind of
Dude,
sound to
it
what you
sounds
want?
like everything. Sounds perfect.
Okay.
I mean, one of the I love the idea of having multiple stations because if we were, there's a reality that while some people are like being the focus of a scene for whatever reason, there's going to be other people who are not, and how do you keep their attention? And so to be able
Mm-hmm.
to have different different areas with different activities happening. This space has a large event space where, and then it has separate rooms as well.
Hmm.
I was in it on Saturday. I mean, like we'll set up a walkthrough, but they had an upstairs and a downstairs and a main space and a front and an office area, etc. So we could potentially be having certain maybe multiple scenes going at once in certain areas if we could block off the sound enough. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm interested in what you think in terms of uh, how long how long an event like this would last. That would be
It would
worked
depend
out
if you
completely.
have a whole bunch of things happening at once, or you want people to be able to focus on each thing, in which case you have like a longer schedule versus you can have 2 hours worth of workshops and then some of them are at the same time, so you can't attend all of them.
Hmm.
But then we have to figure out how do we balance that. Like people that are going to want to go to multiples, try and not have the ones that attract the same person at the same time, or have multiple sessions. Um, and then whoever's running them, can they create 25-minute sessions and do them 2 or 3 times, and then you have a chance to circulate. Um, and then like the photography element of it, if people are, because you can get a lot of cosplayers if you have three key photographers and some fun backdrops for them to shoot, and you will get 60, 70 cosplayers
Well,
that are like, oh my god, I can shoot with Jim Donnelly, I can shoot with John York, I can shoot with whoever. And they're like, holy crap, I gotta go to this thing. And those photographers get a chance to add cool portfolio pieces because of everyone being there, and the setting, the backdrop and stuff. They don't have to pay a studio fee and that kind of thing. Um, and then getting a chance to see, learn, participate in, and shoot the action choreo. I see that as being a draw.
yeah, it's gonna be super interesting. I'm wondering, like, I'm wondering what a budget for something like this might be because on and what if
The biggest thing is always the venue, but if their way of working with us is giving us the venue for free, then that's a giant win. That takes a big chunk of the budget out, right?
Mhm.
Then it's how does the food and beverage work in their place? Is if they already have it available and they just make money off of the sale of it, then it's not a line item. But if we have to purchase it, then that's a big expense to consider. Um, I mean, I did, God, I can't even remember anymore. When I did that Stan Lee party where I had to buy all the booze, um, we spent like, I don't know, 800 bucks to $1,000 on 250, 300 people, something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and that's at cost, getting giant, or maybe it was more than I have to go back and look at that. But those are the kinds of things we got to think about.
Okay. And in terms of insurance, I mean, the one thing
Oh, insurance is super cheap.
really
Event insurance is like you get $2 million of coverage for like 500 bucks.
okay.
Yeah.
And if with us doing, let's say, non firearm action choreography, uh,
Mm-hmm.
do you yeah, I'd be interested if that affects the budget in any particular way.
Um, no, I don't think so. Um, it might be a little bit. I just have to do the research.
Okay. And what in terms of a new event, um, how much lead time do you feel is appropriate to educate people on, hey, there's this new cool thing that we're going to do. Uh, you should come and to be able to message to be able to get the RSVP
To a minimum 2 months.
minimum. Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a ideal time of the year that you find something like this can work?
It's just avoiding big draws in that area. So if we're doing a SoCal event, then we have to avoid um, Anime Expo, San Diego Comic Con, Los Angeles Comic Con, E3, um, the Oscars for the film people, right? Um, and then I don't know, just any of those draws for those people.
Okay. And is there a ideal time for you in the coming months uh, with all that in mind?
Not in July,
Okay. So just
which is
not,
also an Anime Expo in San Diego Comic Con.
yes. Okay. Great, man. Well, this is let me see if I can get us some time at the studio uh
Okay.
as soon as possible because the guy told me to reach out today and
If he was available this Friday, I could do it in the late morning, but otherwise it would have to be after, not next week, but the one after.
okay.
Because I've got a short work week and then I go to Columbus next week.
Okay. Okay. Great, man. This is awesome. Thank you for brainstorming with me on this.
Yeah, happy to.
That-
Yeah, I think as soon as we see the space, we can kind of and figure out what he needs for the partnership. Then we'll have a better idea of like what we'd be looking at for a budget and how we can make that happen and how we can start interesting people.
okay, awesome. I'm just gonna press stop on the recording.